Well, hey, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Folks, everything is partisan, everything is divisive, everything is woke, and hey, screw your freedoms, huh? Arnold says so. That's right, folks. Get this. Uber, Uber, the taxi type service, it has dropped a commercial featuring a famous former quarterback because he is against putting face diapers on children. Well, Jay Cutler, pow, no more money for you, pal. Uber says no to you because of the relationship that Uber has with Jay Cutler. Their views aren't aligned. Isn't that just fabulous? Oh, one more sign of the times, folks. Come to the Prepared Mind on YouTube, also on patreon.com. Oh, but wait, there's more, folks. The Department of Homeland Security, they're back at it here, and we're going to talk about it here on the Prepared Mind. That's right, folks. Get this, folks. Extremists against stuff. Now, this is how the news story is written. Anti-government extremists who oppose face diapers, right? They pose an imminent threat to national security ahead of the September 11th anniversary. That's right, folks. People who want to breathe are dangerous extremists. These people are incredible. Absolutely stunning, folks. I mean, literally, folks, how do they do this? How can they get from here to there, right? You want to breathe, you want your rights observed. But if you do that, if you want that, then somehow you must be a racially motivated extremist, right? Folks, the government is creating an enemy. It's a non sequitur because we who want our freedoms respected aren't anti-government. We want good government. We want responsible government. We want government to obey and observe the Constitution. You see, what they're creating is a false government paradigm and then saying we're the enemy of their false government paradigm. That's not true. We are the allies of good government. We want good government. We want the unconstitutional, unconscionable actions stopped, period. Well, here we are. And yes, I do work with a bunch of tools. That's what I get for being one of those general contractor types. But I would rather be working with this tool, the most powerful tool of them all, the Prepared Mind. You guys, glad to have you back here. I've got a quick note to a special person I've contacted in Texas. I believe that potential damages under Texas Penal Code, section 42.07 for our little buddy down there in San Jacinto County. I think we could probably seek relief with the district attorney through that and take care of some business. So I'll get a hold of you later and we'll finish that out and start taking some action on that. Now, folks, this is the Daily Prepared Mind channel presentation. Top half of the hour, my monologue. Bottom half of the hour, you guys and your questions. Q&A. Get your questions into Jolene, and we're going to have some fun with this one, folks. It has hit the fan. It's not getting any better, but it's Q&A for the day. So let's get to the monologue and then to you guys, right? That's a topic. I think I'm gonna save that one for a little bit later. But let's talk about this. Somehow, some way, President Xi Biden is blaming Trump for the Taliban and the gains they've made in retaking Afghanistan, right? And Trump's response was, this is failure through weakness. And I want to remind everyone, no, maybe I don't need to remind you. You guys already know. Someone apparently Washington, D.C., even the president himself doesn't understand that, well, Biden, you're actually the guy in charge now. You're in the office. You're in the office. Makes me wonder what the hell is going on up there. Everything is Trump's fault. Yeah, I expect that. Right now, Biden is supposed to be speaking and addressing this topic right now. But here's the deal, folks. He was late. I went to tune in, wasn't on, wasn't going. So I thought, you know what? This is much better right here on the Prepared Mind channel where we could talk about what's really going on. Let me tell you about Saigon. You don't need President Gigi Biden to explain it to you. I can tell it to you, right? As one of the last aircraft was leaving the runway, the airport in Afghanistan, Afghanis were running ahead of it, behind it, climbing on the jet. It was a giant Air Force transport jet. And they hung on. And unlike the movie Mission Impossible, where Tom Cruise is hanging on to the outside of the plane, no, these people couldn't hang on, folks. They fell off of the jet as it took off, gained in height, gained in speed, right? The crowds at the airport were incredible, trying to get out. It made Vietnam look calm and tame. This is Joe Biden's fault. Now, apparently he's sent in, I don't know, I've seen different numbers, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 U.S. troops to try and maintain order. And shots have been fired. You bet shots have been fired. I don't want our forces sent there with no support, no backup, to be attacked by a bunch of radicals who have taken over, and not only taken over, but grabbed all the equipment. They've got Hummers, they've got guns, folks, they have drones. Did you know that? Did you know that the Taliban now have drones, armament? Now, I seem to remember when I was a Marine that we had these cans. They look kind of like a grenade. But what they were a white phosphorus grenade that burned thousands of degrees hot. And you take that and set it on an engine. You pull the pin, and it melts its way all the way through the engine. So that vehicle is disabled. You don't leave equipment that's operable in the hands of the enemy. You don't leave weapons that are operable in the hands of the enemy. You don't leave useful assets in the hands of the enemy if you are forced to withdraw. Apparently, they don't teach that at West Point anymore. Apparently, it's not in the standard operating procedures, right, on how to leave a country. Gee, many crickets, these people are morons, dangerous morons. So now these well-armed with our equipment, Taliban fighters, and Joe Biden's going to come on and explain this. Someone let me know if he resigns his office. I'm sure someone will tell Jolene, and Jolene will put it up on computer too here, folks. Absolutely stunning what's going on. Now, we are not a bunch of dangerous, violent, radical extremists here, nor racist, nor anything else negative. We're Americans who love our country, our flag, our laws, our traditions, our culture, and our Constitution, folks. But this is how things happen, okay? First, you start with protests when there's a problem. And after that, now I'm not telling anyone what to do, and I'm not inciting violence, not encouraging unlawful, dangerous, or harmful behavior. I'm talking about what happens historically. Historically, first, there are protests. Then what follows that are refusals to comply because people have had enough. And then violence comes along. You see, but the government is in a big hurry to get their way. They're in a big hurry, so we need to prepare, folks. Now, in Canada, their super duper medical passport has come. And tens of thousands of people are marching in Montreal against these passports ahead of the September 1st deadline to get it going. They're trying to make this real, folks. Now, a lot of people say the only thing protecting us is the Constitution. No, folks. The only thing protecting us is our willingness to stand up to tyranny. The Constitution is a formalized receipt. It is a bill, right? I'm just a bill. It's a bill that was handed to the government. It said, if you want to stay in business, This is your permit. The Constitution is the permit for the government to operate. If they act outside the bounds of their permit, then maybe like a building permit, we can red tag it and revoke that authority. In fact, that is exactly how it works. It's like a driver's license. They have permission under this license. The Constitution is a license for the government to operate. If they don't maintain a clean bill of health, a clean record, then their license can be revoked. That's what they tell us. They tell us that they can give us a license and revoke at any time. Understand the power and authority that the people, whether in Canada, Europe, the United States, Australia, we are the ones that have the power. We outnumber the government, folks. 1,000 to 1. They know it, and we know it. And Afghanistan is an excellent example of what happens when a government that with all that military thinks it runs everything, and they don't, and they can't defeat an enemy, not like that. No, it's absolutely incredible what is going on, folks. And again, I am absolutely not promoting violence. I am calling for peace from the government to stop calling its citizens violent extremists and pointing at people like us, because we don't like mandates. We like liberty. It's so simple. It's right there in the Constitution. It's right there in the Declaration of Independence. It's right there in the history books. But they don't see it that way, folks. Screw your freedoms, says Arnold, whose dad was a Nazi. Let's do this, folks. This is for Patreon only. Over on Patreon, and you guys right now listening right now live, this is real time. You can look down in the section down there. Jolene's got everything lined out. If they're not there, they're going to be there. Dr. Ryan Cole did an autopsy on somebody. Dr. Ryan Cole did an autopsy on somebody and wants to talk about what he found on the inside. You will be astounded at the damage that was done. Folks, the information is coming out. I wish I could give you more details. This is just an autopsy, though. And what we're trying to do is convey, share, pass on information. Pass on information. Whew, I almost did it again, right? Jake Tapper, moron extraordinaire on CNN, the most trusted news on name and news, they say. I think they're the least trusted name in news. But they're enjoying right now. They're starting to get into it. The mainstream media is starting to go, hey, we need to criticize some decisions that are obviously bad. We need to find out what's going wrong. I thought that everything globalist Democrat Party was going to be great. I thought socialism was going to fix everything, right? Isn't Joe Biden the great healer? So Jake Tapper confronts Secretary Blinken on this Afghanistan blunder, calls it a tragic foreign policy disaster. You bet your ass it is. You bet your ass it is a total disaster. And disasters don't clean themselves up, folks. You can't scare a disaster. You can't just scare a disaster back into behaving, right? Now get this. Oh, God bless her. I am enjoying watching America wake up. A lot of America, when I wake up, if it's not for an emergency, a real emergency, where I get up, land in my boots, and I've got two hands at ready. There's the other kind of wake up, where I wake up quietly and I kind of yawn and scratch and, wake up, go get a cup of coffee. Folks, that's what America's doing. They're slowly waking up. They've had a couple of sips of SHTF brew, and they're not happy. The Arizona gubernatorial candidate, Carrie Lake, was speaking at a Arizona State University face diaper protest. And here's the quote: "When I'm governor, I will pardon every patriot who stood up against this tyranny." And then she tells the Arizona State University president to shove it. Fucking A right. Now, this is what's happened. When I talk about people start to protest, then they refuse to comply, and then it's fisticuffs. This is what it's coming to, folks. Arizona is leading the nation in a lot of ways with their tax audits, with the way they're thinking about these mandates. Florida, Texas, Missouri, Tennessee has its issue. Other states are doing much better. We need to support folks. And if you're in one of the states where they're saying, you know, we need to have some kind of relocation camps, write, email, text, phone call the governor, whoever is responsible for this trash, these executive orders that are negative, and then tell them this is what you need to do to get positive support. Because ultimately, folks, you have to decide what's more valuable. What's more valuable? Your life or your liberty, right? Your life or your liberty. Without liberty, your life is no longer yours anyway. You're living someone else's vision of what you should be. That's what a slave does, folks. A slave does what they're told, obeys everyone else's edicts and demands and desires. Is that who you are? I didn't think so. So yeah, I will pardon every patriot who stood up against this tyranny. I'll tell you what, hopeful Kari Lake governor, I hope you pardon every patriot who stood up against all tyranny. All tyranny. Freedom, folks, real freedom needs to be won in this country, won back, because the government everywhere, at the state level, at the federal level, at the local level, they've all taken too much, way too much. Now, speaking about taking stuff too much and going a little too far, over in Kabul, Afghanistan, there was a CNN reporter on the streets, and she was wearing a beautiful hijab, dressing in local, they will over there dress in local customary garb, so as not to offend their culture. Why is it in our culture, our country, all we get from the mainstream media is how wrong our culture is and how they misrepresent our culture and tell us how evil and bad it is, and that we must change it, and that we should be punished and destroyed for having our culture. But over there, over in Afghanistan, they'll definitely obey that culture. Well, maybe it's because as a woman on the street with Taliban in charge, as an American or a reporter or whatever, they don't give a shit. You know, they realize there's a consequence for fucking up. In America, you have free speech. Over there, no. They behave over there, don't they? Oh, you bet they do. But this is what she had to report while wearing traditional customary garb that's acceptable in their culture. She said, quote, "They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. Are you kidding me?" That is how they report it. That is how they represent this. They seem friendly at the same time. They're chanting for death to America. Folks, the religion of peace in Afghanistan, chanting for death. Religion of peace wants death. How is that friendly? Can you ask for someone's head? Kill somebody nicely? It is absolutely incredible if that's their perspective on this. They seem more than happy to say, hey, the new leader in Afghanistan is Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar. Right? And they proclaimed Afghanistan to be the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Now, if it's the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, it is a theocracy, is it not, right? So the Mullah Abdar statement was given from the presidential palace. And they're chanting death to America. But boy, they sure are friendly. as they have, let's see, our equipment, our guns, our drones, our bombs, because they were left there by the Biden Pentagon. The Biden Secretary of Defense apparently has no problem leaving guns, missiles, drones, I don't know, helicopters. How about some tanks? Did they get some tanks too? Tanks for nothing there, Biden, right? And you and I, we can't even have a bump stock on our guns. Nope, nope, nope. A little piece of rubber or a bayonet lug or maybe a high-capacity magazine. Woo, scary stuff. But over there, just fine. We'll just leave all of that for them. How many grenades do they get? Right? How much night vision equipment do they get? I tell you, folks. Now, everyone is being quiet, but they're not quiet. They don't want to be quiet. They're being forced to be quiet. In the state of Wisconsin, the GOP executive committees in 5 more counties, that means on counties on top of the ones that are already for it, they want to support 5 more counties, sign on to support a full forensic tax audit in the state of Wisconsin. Isn't that crazy? They've got a tax problem in Wisconsin, don't they? Seems like every state seems to have a tax problem. You know, it never ceases to amaze me. Never. That is good. Wet my whistle. And then to this year, water imported from Scotland is an antiseptic. Ooh, just killed about 1 million cerveza bugs. Now get this, folks. Representative, Democrat, unfriendly person, Cori Bush. She had police guarding her, and they were guarding without permission, and they got fired. The cops did. 2 cops were guarding Representative Cori Bush, who has said that she wants to defund the police and have them fired. Well, she ended up getting these 2 cops fired. She got them unfunded. Right, according to St. Louis Sheriff Vernon Betts, they didn't fill out the proper forms to do that job. Way to go, Cori Bush. You are defunding the police 1 and 2 at a time. But these were actually deputies, meaning they work for the sheriff's department, not the police department. Absolutely stunning, the irresponsibility that this lady has. Now, I'm sure that the police or sheriff's deputies that were guarding her must have really thought she's something special, must have really supported her. How could someone want to support, guard, work for another human being that wants them to be fired? Unless they, of course, are super communists and believe that their jobs will be protected and that they'll only defund the bad cops. Just start thinking about this, folks. Start thinking about that, right? I think that she should be fined. I think that she should be charged with misappropriating government resources. Doesn't she bear some responsibility on this? Or can she just say, look, I told them I needed some protection, and it's they who did the paperwork wrong. Well, they must have done a lot more, because I think a sheriff would say, hey, you filled out the forms, you just didn't do it right. Not a problem, right? Let's just get it right, guys. Let's get it right. You know, we can go back and we can approve this. I'm the sheriff. I can write that in. It was just an accident. Or did they do something really wrong? Did they not only fill it out incorrectly, but maybe they lied on these forms so that they could go be Cori Bush's bitch boys? Makes me wonder, folks. Scummy Bush misappropriating resources. I wonder if she told them, you just do what you want and write what you want. And if they try saying anything, that'll make them a bunch of racists. Crazy stuff, folks. Here's a Patreon-only story, folks, about a Southwest Airlines flight attendant who died. Can't give you any more details than that, folks. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. But Southwest Airlines has decided to not mandate things for their employees. And now someone someone has died. One, it doesn't work. Two, propaganda and fear, threats and coercion will continue to be used against us all. I tell you, folks, it's a crazy world out there. You have to be careful when you're handling cheese and peanuts. Now, I'm going to, well, I got a little bit more. I want to try and give you guys more time. So get your questions in right now. And I'm going to fill out the rest of my half of the hour, and then we'll get to your questions. And I know that I saw a great question from Christine Bihana, and we'll get to her. But here we are. There's not a mask in sight in this story. Country singer Jason Aldean praised his concert goers who did not have face diapers. And what followed was astounding, folks. Can you believe this? I thought that if you opposed face diapers, if you opposed the face diaper, that means you're a violent, anti-government extremist. So what you're telling me is that these people were screaming and chanting, USA, USA. Wait. So what we're saying here is that at country singer Jason Aldean's concert, people that the Department of Homeland Security are saying are potential violent, dangerous extremists. Dangerous, violent extremists? They took their masks off and chanted USA. They love the country. They love the country. So do you think the DHS has this wrong? Yeah, of course they do. They're a bunch of morons, folks. They have a political agenda. It's been politicized. Absolutely politicized. There was not a mask in sight at the concert. That tells me that either, yeah, Jason Aldean's fans are a bunch of domestic violent extremists who love their country at the same time somehow, but are anti-government while they chant government slogan. USA is a pro-government, pro-America slogan. Kind of like Make America Great Again is a pro-government, pro-America slogan. It's just not the same policies that are espoused by the Democrats and the globalist scumbags. That's the only difference, folks. Absolutely incredible. The people don't want face diapers. The government is using the mainstream media, social media, big tech to try and convince the world that real Americans, that's what they're doing. They're trying to convince using propaganda, lies, gaslighting. They're trying to use these psychological warfare, psychological operations techniques to convince the people that they do want to wear face masks. That's what they're trying to do, is convince America that it's patriotic to do such a thing. Except when you go out in public, folks, people don't want them, and they do love their country. Absolutely stunning, folks. It's another day of SHTF. The government wants it. We want to be free. The government wants restrictions. We want liberties. The government wants to tell you what to do. We want to be free and tell ourselves what to do, make our own choices. They want to make mandates. We want voluntary compliance based on our own belief systems. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Jolene, what are we going to talk about first? Whew. I tell you, busy as a beaver every day. Every day, wake up in the middle of the night, busy, answer some emails, go back to bed, wake up. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy what's going on. So here we go. We got Bioxo with a statement. Thank you, Bioxo, for checking in, and thank you for all your support. He says, apparently I need another drink. Apparently a plane fleeing Afghanistan got shot down over Uzbekistan for violating airspace while fleeing. Possible false flags waving over the Gulf of Uzbekistan. That was in reference to the Gulf of Tonkin incident where a ship was supposedly sunk. But later, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, that's a funny one, huh? Told everyone that no, there was no Gulf of Tonkin incident. Very interesting stuff. Yeah, was this shot down intentionally? Now, what you're not saying here, because I'm not aware of the story, is that the plane that was fleeing Afghanistan, was that a military plane? You see, the Afghanis under the Taliban regime, they don't really, even though they got control of the presidential palace and they're taking control of the various bureaucracies and internal institutions, they don't have command and control, coordination, and smart people there, right, shooting down these planes or trying to shoot down the planes. Who has that ability? Well, I guess Uzbekistan, but they're just taking off on the planes that they have, trying to get out of the country and get anywhere. So that's really interesting. Here we go. Biaxo says the plane that got shot down was an Afghan military plane. Oh, that was Uman. Thank you, Uman. Regarding the Biaxo question. So it was a military plane. Military plane. Isn't that great that Uman can just break in? It's precise. Let's get to the shit. You bet. Okay, an Afghan military plane. And Uzbekistan shot it down. Interesting. Let's see. We've got Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, the Taliban, the United States. I'm sure Pakistan has got something to say about this. Yeah, we could get right back into a full-fledged regional war over this. Because, yeah, the United States, under Joe Biden and his brilliance, has decided to send, I think, 7,000 American troops in there. I wonder if he's sending in infantry, or is he sending in not infantry? Well, send in some cooks and some chefs and, some support people, and we'll get to the guns later. We just want to make sure everyone's got food. That's the type of thinking we got, folks. Maybe they're going to send in the USO. Maybe they're going to send in entertainment for the troops first, because sending in or putting together a drag queen presentation for the troops is good for operational readiness. So maybe they ought to send them in first into Afghanistan. I'm sure that if they met Afghan forces under Taliban control, that they would be appreciative of such an entertaining show. All right, folks, we got Christine Bahana's question right here. And it's a good question, so put on your seatbelt. How likely is it that the left, that would be the Democrat, globalist, social Marxist type thinkers, how likely is it that the left will cause another, much larger, false waving of the flag event to drive home their agenda about domestic violence extremists? And she says, I'll catch the replay after work. Thank you, Christine B. Hanna. How likely is it? It is incredibly likely. There is a high likelihood that something bad is going to happen. We have heard for years and years and years and years. Just a second here. It's kind of hot down in the old bunkaroo. We have heard for years about how Tea Party members were potential terror suspects, that veterans are potential terror suspects. That was back under the Barack Hussein Barrisatoro Obama administration regime. And back then it was Janet, whatever the hell her name was, I can't even remember. She was the secretary of the, or director of the Department of Homeland Security. And they've developed this story. You see, when a government is seeking more power and authority, they need to take an idea, then build on it and make it bigger so that you can't get rid of the Department of Homeland Security. They're dealing with racist, domestic, violent extremists who don't like putting diapers on their face to the extent that they're willing to go to war. See how this is how they create and cast a picture. Absolutely incredible. And they want to tie that. Well, what does a domestic violent extremist look like? What do they do? Oh, like Timothy McVeigh. Terry Nichols, Timothy McVeigh. Oh, because 9/11 is coming up. September 11th is coming up. And so somehow American patriots, folks, American patriots who like their liberties and freedom, who like to breathe fresh air and not have a diaper strapped to their face. Those kind of patriotic Americans who have jobs and pay their taxes, somehow they're going to fall in line with the people who pulled off the 9/11 terror event. Somehow they have the same ideas. And apparently these domestic violent extremists would use the memory of September 11th to destroy, I guess, some part of America in their hatred for the government. No. See, we love our government. We just want it to behave. We love our government. We're not going to blow up our own buildings. We, meaning the United States people. The only people who want to blow up buildings are terrorists. The only people who want to destroy our Constitution are terrorists. We love our laws. We love our Constitution. We love our government. We want it to behave, just like you love your children. You don't want to destroy them when they mess up. You just want them to come and conform to the rules. Meanwhile, we've got the lunatics running the asylum, people who think the Constitution doesn't matter and the laws don't matter, telling us how we have to behave. They've got it all backwards. They're completely discombobulated. Isn't that just incredible? Out of this world. We got Bonnie Blue checking in, and she has this to say. Why do we have to pay for full auto, RPGs, drones, and other arms for the Taliban when we cannot legally purchase them for ourselves? Isn't that a straw purchase of sorts by the feds? That's an interesting one there. How to address this? What you're talking about is all of the arms, armaments, ammunition, weapons that have been abandoned. It almost seems that way, doesn't it? Like the government supplied it. Like they did this intentionally. I brought up the part about you don't leave vehicles, either the enemy's vehicles or your own, behind for them to use against you later, to use against your allies later. You destroy them. That's what the military does, is they break things and they kill people. That's what the military is supposed to do. You're not supposed to leave equipment for the enemy that they can then use on their other enemies, right? Because American forces flew, leaving behind what Joe Biden said, oh, the Afghan military, they'll be able to keep their country. Apparently not. In 1 week, the Taliban own Afghanistan again, have renamed Afghanistan, and are probably, more than likely, currently bringing into play their laws and executing their laws with probably feverish delight. Absolutely incredible what they've done. Yeah. That's the same with Eric Holder, the Attorney General for the United States of America. Eric Holder, under Barack Hussein, Barry Soetoro Obama. What did he do? He conducted this little operation called Fast and Furious, where the government of the United States, through, I believe, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, supplied weapons to Mexicans in Mexico who were drug lords, gang members, dangerous folks, bad hombres, as President Trump would have said. And then those guns were used to kill American Border Patrol. I don't see how this wasn't considered a crime. Hard to believe that that's not a crime, but you know how it is when the elites want their way and they're going to get it. Yeah, they have no problem supplying others with weapons and not giving a frog's fat ass what happens as a consequence. Whether or not those consequences are intended or unintended, that remains to be seen. But I don't think we're going to get a blue ribbon 5-star executive legislative committee out of Nancy Pants Pelosi to take a look and see what actually happened down there in Afghanistan regarding the pullout. Just like we're not going to get a blue ribbon 5-star panel to look at Eric Holder and go, what did you think you were doing, buddy? Just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, we got Sue's checking in, says, just got my recall ballot today. What is your opinion on Larry Elder versus Caitlyn Jenner? My very conservative dad said Jenner is better than Elders. Now I am confused. I need advice. Thanks. Well, I don't have a ballot because I no longer am a California resident. I am not there. There's a couple things that are very confusing in this, folks. California apparently has some sort of confusion. Well, it used to be a joke. Gender confusion was a joke. Now it's gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria used to be considered a mental illness. Now it's not. I think we've got it straight now, right? It's not that. It's not a bad thing, and we can all just deal with it. Well, apparently there's political dysphoria as well. California doesn't know whether it wants to be a part of the United States with a constitution, or whether it wants to be its own country, or whether it wants to be a socialist state. It's got political dysphoria. So what's going on is the recall of Gavin Newsom is in play. And so it looks like we're going to have a primary runoff between Larry Elder and Caitlyn Jenner. Now, what I want for you, Suze, is to take heart in knowing that you are in a hell of a hellhole down there in SoCal. It's crazy. Now, if I were voting, I would read what the candidates have to say and what they stand for, their political platform, and I would vote my conscience. In either case, they've got to be better than Gavin Newsom. I really believe now, who would I vote for? That's the question, John. Stop dancing around the damn issue. I would vote for Larry Elder because Caitlyn Jenner has disappointed me greatly because of a lifelong belief that Bruce Jenner was a great American athlete. But there is no Bruce Jenner anymore. Bruce Jenner he's not there. And Bruce Jenner was killed, replaced by Caitlyn Jenner. That's very upsetting to a guy like me. I grew up eating a lot of Bruce Jenner Wheaties, folks. And it's not revenge. And it's, all joking aside, politics in California is stupid. Just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, in a lot of ways, you could say, well, you're voting for a lesser of two evils. And I would rather have less evil in my life. But that's really kind of where you're stuck. I would love to believe that Larry Elders, and I would literally vote for Larry Elders, folks, period. He's going to be far more conservative, I think, than Caitlyn Jenner. He has a conservative talk show. Now here's the deal, folks. In California, it's just like the rest of the fucking country. Understand this. And it's the same with Illinois. It's the same with New York. Everybody I meet from around the fucking country where I'm at right now and around the world. There's people traveling around the world still. Can you believe that shit? Met a lady from Sweden yesterday. From Sverige. She was pretty funny, made Swedish meatball jokes and made fun of Sweden and Germany and Norway and the Netherlands and funny lady and her husband. Anyways, people from around the world. Now here's the deal. It doesn't matter in California. You're either a diehard scumbag communist Democrat or you're a normal human being, an American who loves the Constitution and obeys the law and respects the Constitution and its boundaries and limitations. Or you're an absolute scumbag leftist who wants government entitlements, free money, handouts, bailouts, safety nets, and everyone else to pay for their shit. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Texas or Mississippi, or whether you're talking about Illinois or New York or California or Oregon or Washington. It doesn't matter. It's not that the California Republicans are really weak Republicans. They're very strong Republicans, folks. Very strong Republican. I met a Republican from San Diego this weekend also. Grew up in San Diego. Super, super, super Republican. Impressive Republican. It doesn't matter, right? But what the politicians do in California and everywhere else where we have these rhino Republicans is they've got to soften their speech and say, well, I'm a social conservative, but I'm a fiscal liberal, or I'm they mix it up in order to get votes from this group or get votes from that group. They realize that California as a state is outnumbered with Democrats over Republicans, right? There's this many Democrats and only this many Republicans. So they know they're going to lose. So that a Republican, in order to be elected governor of California, has to have something pretty special. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, oh yeah, screw your freedoms. Screw your freedoms. Arnold. That's who he is, folks. Screw your freedoms. My dad was a Nazi. Your Constitution sucks. I'm from Austria. Thank you for all the money, but F you. Well, thanks, Arnold. I'm glad you showed us who you are in your 70s, you prick. That's okay, though. We knew he was a weak Republican, that he was kind of a rhino-ish, but he used his fame to get elected. Larry Elders is an incredibly smart dude, very famous dude. He's a radio dude, has a show, right? And he is conservative because on his radio show, he speaks to real conservatives. He's not speaking to Democrats. They tune things out. It should be the same way on YouTube. If you don't like what I have to say and don't believe it or think that it's misinformation, you should just go away. Just go away. You don't have to listen. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not misinforming anybody. I'm telling you, there's information out here. You make your own decision. I'm not misinforming jack shit. Right? I just talk and say, well, this stuff's going on. What do you think? It's up to you. It's incredible, folks, that just fuck the censors. Anyways, back to California. I don't think Caitlyn Jenner, who did come out with a very conservative position, by the way, regarding trans men who want to compete as women because they identify that as that. Caitlyn Jenner, who is a trans, right? That was Bruce Jenner, has become Caitlyn Jenner. I don't know if anything's been whacked off, literally. I don't know. None of my business, right? Oh, yeah. Well, your medical business is everyone else's business, but, that sort of thing, I guess. Not all information, I guess, is HIPAA quality. Anyways, I have a hard time believing Caitlyn Jenner is as conservative as Larry Elders. Now, all or none, John, or are you willing to win just a little bit of conservative or Republican ideals in California, right? Arnold was not Ronald Reagan. Screw your freedoms. He was not Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was the governor of California, folks, before he became president of the United States. One of the most beloved presidents of all, the Gipper, right? The great communicator, Ronald Reagan. The cowboy, Ronald Reagan. Oh, man. Good president, right? Schwarzenegger was nowhere near Reagan. He's got his beliefs. We know what they are. Screw your freedom. That's his beliefs. He's the Teufel. Yeah. Anyways, I would vote for Larry Elders. I don't want a half a Republican. I want someone who is able to speak and has spoken publicly, who doesn't go to the podium with any shame or fear or doubt. And I'm not saying that Caitlyn Jenner has fear or shame or doubt. I just think there is a lot more unknown there. And I would want somebody in the office who is going to stand up and fight. Now, regardless, whoever gets the California gubernatorial job, they're going to have their hands full with the California Assembly and the Senate, which is absolutely loaded, chock full of retarded Democrats. What a mess. All right, so we got, let's move on from there. We got Mike Landakos. He says mainstream media reports that 14% of leftists now believe that taxes were stolen and that the importance of this massive, well, that didn't work. There's the huge tax audits are going on. Apparently, that there's things are so bad in the world of tax collection that they're gonna that even 14% of Democrats believe that there's a problem there, and the belief system. I think I can put this all together, Jolene. And thank you, Mike Landakos. The belief system is, or the potential is, that the stage is being set. And I don't know how true this is. I don't know whether it's actually going to happen. But a lot of people are saying maybe the Democrats have realized that they've got way more than they can handle. That they might want to put Trump back in office. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? You know, and that's not a theory that I espouse or believe. It's just something that's out there in the world. Now, the Department of Homeland Security thinks that is, you know, people that believe that are probably dangerous, and they're just looking for a chance to become violent if Trump were to get back in office. But the mainstream media would love that, folks. Would they not? Oh, they would. The mainstream media would love to see Trump put into the White House. Nancy Pants Pelosi would love to have Trump in the White House. Up Chuck Schumer would love to have President Trump in the White House, so that they could point the finger at him and blame him for everything that's going wrong. Instead, you've got Sleepy Joe Biden in the White House. No, Sleepy Joe Biden's at his home in Delaware. No, wait. He's back in Washington, so he can tell everyone how Afghanistan is Trump's fault. The border is Trump's fault. The economy, everything's Trump's fault. Absolutely incredible stuff is going on, folks. Incredible stuff is going on. Again, that's just what people are talking about. And in fact, the Department of Homeland Security is using the belief that so many Americans think this, that it represents a national security threat. They think, the Department of Homeland Security, there's so many Americans out there that believe Trump is going to be or needs to be reinstated as president, that represents a national threat. A violent threat could be coming. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff indeed. All right, we got Super Dave checking in. Folks, I used to love Super Dave Osborne. The man passed away. What a great show. A variety show, kind of old school, kind of screwy. Anyways, this is a different Super Dave because the other Super Dave has passed away. Anyway, Super Dave says this: if Kamala becomes president, will she be as good as Biden? Well, there's a loaded frickin' question. I don't think that Biden is good based on the Tara Reid accounts. I don't think that he's doing a good job based on what is happening at the border, in the military, in Afghanistan. I don't believe that he's doing a good job with respect to foreign diplomacy, allowing Kamala Harris to meet the Prime Minister of Japan, sending her down to Central America to make a fool of herself in America. I don't think they're doing a good job at all. So when you ask if Kamala becomes president, will she be as good as Biden? My answer to that is I don't know if she can be worse than Biden. She's bad. And the other thing is I believe that this entire administration, the Biden-Harris administration, I believe that it is puppeteered, that it is taking its orders from, as Gerald Celente puts it, the white shoe boys. I think that that's what's going on, that they are controlled, that they're being told what to do. The banks want this and you will do it. The globalist corporations want this and you will do it. We funded your campaigns. We did things during the campaigning to help you. So therefore, you're going to do our bidding. Now, folks, this is not a new thing, by the way. All presidents owe something to the people who got them elected. All presidents. Not just in the last 20 years or 30 or 40 or 50. It goes all the way back to the beginning of the Republic, back when it was actually a republic and wasn't a police state. Yeah, the idea that campaign financing, asking other people for money, can a political candidate do that without compromising their integrity? The question is, hey, I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out, right? Anyways, there's been times when presidents are more independent, and there's been times where presidents are owned, absolutely owned. And nobody likes that. I don't like it. All right, let's move on if we shall. We've got Kate. McAllen, Texas has declared a state of emergency due to the massive numbers of illegals the cartels are bringing in. This has caused destabilization in the community. Can you explain the term destabilization in this context? I will do my best. This is a complicated question. Now, again, folks, I don't get these questions in advance. I wish I could, but it's actually an incredible challenge to answer this. When you take a community like McAllen, Texas, and I don't know how big it is, a community, you're seeing this in the southern states where people are moving from the north, they're moving down. You're seeing this in rural communities outside large, major northern metropolitan areas where there's a blue city, people are fleeing the blue city out into the red county, and they're destabilizing. Right? There's usually a good flux one way or the other. You'll have growth in an area, or you'll have retraction in an area population-wise. And if an area grows too fast, it strains the infrastructure in a literal sense. It destabilizes it. There's much to consider when people flood into an area. I was going to use the word tax, but they're not putting taxes on. In the more usual sense, they tax or strain the supply systems for housing. Is there enough housing for all the people that want to come here? No. What happens is the price shoots up on housing, and they start to build houses quickly. Houses, multifamily units, apartments, etc., yada yada. But that takes time. There's permitting time, materials time. So people moving in put a strain on housing. They put a strain on food supply. Literally, restaurants, supermarkets, they have enough food for the population that's there. And while it may go up a little or go down a little, when it goes straight up population-wise, it destabilizes that. And now these stores, these businesses are going to have to order a lot more. And that means the companies that supply them. See, a company, say 100 miles away, that supplies food to McAllen, Texas, they have only so many trucks and delivery drivers and their warehouse full of food or goods, whatever those other goods are that are required to support a population like McAllen, Texas. They can't get stuff there fast enough. And so it destabilizes the system, the infrastructure, not the social bullshit infrastructure. Maybe we should send a jackass down there, Pete Buttigieg, and see if he can tell them all about infrastructure. Isn't he the Secretary of Transportation or some shit? I'm sure they'll be there to fix it right away. Anyways, back to destabilizing. So there's all these ways. The electrical supply, you bring in a bunch of people and crowd them, they're going to be turning on more air conditioning. They're going to use more resources, power. What about water? Especially during a drought. I don't know what the drought situation is like there in McAllen, if there is one. Food, water, shelter, clothing stores. Do they have enough clothing? Right? These are Mexicans coming from the South. They don't have any clothes. They have what they have on their back, right? They don't have steamer trunks, big giant chests that are 4 foot by 4 foot by 6 with all of their clothes stacked in. They show up and they go to the store and start buying stuff. They show up and they move into a house and they're going to fill the cupboards from top to bottom with food they're buying off the shelves. That's the destabilization. Oh, here's another fun one. Are you ready for this? Let's see. Cartels are sending people, some who are just trying to get a better life and mooch right off the American system. Some want to get jobs. Others are drug dealers, coyotes, human traffickers, thieves, scum, criminals. That destabilizes the law enforcement. See, the city of McAllen only has so many law enforcement officers to deal with the normal population density and the normal statistical percentages of crime. See, they don't want to have a cop on every street corner. If you only need a cop for every 10 street corners, but you import a bunch of people, you're adding a bunch of crime. You bring a bunch of people in from another country that don't have the same respect for the law or even understanding of American law, culture, behavior, and they're committing crimes. And they can't say, oh, no, these are just agricultural workers. They're really the best sorts of people. Yeah, those guys are fine. I'm worried about the fucking criminals that think murder is the way to deal with a problem. That's a problem. Absolute problem. So anyways, that is a fabulous, fabulous question. And that's not just happening in McAllen. It's happening around the country, especially on the southern border, as people are moving and fleeing these shithole cities that have been created by asshole mayors and governors. Governors like Governor Brown of Oregon, or Governor Cumho of New York, or Mayor Shitstain of Chicago, or Governor Whitmore, her eminence, the Führer in Michigan. And don't forget Prickster, the guy whose name is just so fundamentally perfect for him. Crazy. Bonnie Blue 2A checks in and says, when the Soviet Union collapsed, food shortages and black markets became common in Russia. Shouldn't Americans be preparing for that style of USA collapse? The answer is absolutely 100% yes. Yes, being a prepper will put you in a position, folks, to accommodate food shortages. Now, let's say you have 2 bags of rice and the store is short on food, but they do have rice. So do you not get rice or do you get the rice? Well, you get the rice and you can try and trade it for something, maybe a can of Spam, right? With someone else who wants the rice, right? There's going to be shortages, but by having your supply, you'll be able to supplement to help yourself get through hard times. Yeah, Russia or the Soviet Union, as it broke apart, all the Soviet Union, their states, they have their little states, you know, like Ukraine and Lithuania and Estonia and Georgia, Kyrgyzstan. They got a lot of stands over there. And Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. Anyways, yeah, they had shortages and black markets did develop. Now, a black market is a market where trade, goods and services occurs off of the books. They don't get taxed. They're not regulated. People are doing what they need to get by and survive. So the government doesn't like a lot of behavior that humans do. And so they try and make it illegal. But when times get tight, guess what happens? Crime goes up because people are willing to violate the law, whatever that law may be, in order to accommodate their need. Prostitution becomes a big deal. Drugs become a big deal because people want what? They want to escape the pain they're in. They want to escape the suffering they're in. Drugs is a way to do that. Alcohol as well. So my recommendation is alcohol is legal and you can own alcohol now. And if times get tight and there's shortages, alcohol, be it vodka, tequila, scotch, rum, whiskey, bourbon, beer, wine, champagne, whatever you need, right, or want, you can also use it for barter. You can also use it for barter. So yeah, now there's a lot of trouble with that, right? If times are really tight, if times are hard and people are scared and there's a lot of crime out there, telling people, yeah, I got a case of wine and I got 12 bottles of wine. You know, I'm looking to make some trades. People might go, oh, you got 12 bottles? You can become a target. Remember, a black market situation or society that's been reduced to that is not quite as friendly, knowing that I could go out to a dozen stores within a 5-mile radius and find a bottle of wine to satisfy my needs tonight. People would be thinking, I've got to get enough wine to make it through the month. And so they're going to be looking for soft targets. You need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. And I need you to go to Patreon, patreon.com, and sign up at the Prepared Mind, $2 a month. That way, if we get kicked off of YouTube because, you know, they just don't like the fact that you're thinking, and they don't like the fact that I tell you, hey, why don't you listen to what the experts say and then do what they say. That's what I've said, right? These people are the experts. Do what they say. Absolutely. Why is that so wrong, right? For me to tell you to listen to the experts. Anyways, go ahead and get over to patreon.com where you can get and ensure you get at any time. If I'm taken off of the public streams, that is a private venue through which you can get information about what you want to know. You guys be cool, okay? Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I'll be back very soon, and we're going to get it on. Oh, by the way, I hope you guys like some of the new artwork and graphics. I want to thank Kaz at Fourth Dimension for putting some of this stuff together to supplement what Jolene has done, is doing, and will continue to do. It is the Prepared Mind Network. It is the rsyndicate.com, and it is your country, folks. It's your culture. It's your rules. It's your life. It's your values. It's your morality. Remember, it's up to us, not them, to decide how this country is run. So be good. Don't do anything wrong. Follow the rules, right? Obey the law. And I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon.